Welcome to another episode of the Need for Speed Most Wanted Mod Showcase, and in today's episode we're going to be kicking things off with an 80s, I think, sedan from the French region of France. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to go with because I have no idea what I am talking about. But yeah, we have here the Renault 18 Turbo. Of course, there's actually quite a few of these kind of like out there mods that are made from the game, made by various people that are just hosted on a bunch of different sites or just part of like these big mod packs and not anywhere else. But yeah, this is kind of like if you kind of like the kind of style of vehicles to be in this game, like you kind of have a niche for these kind of things. There is a Renault 18 Turbo, and of course, as always, there will be a link in the description where you can check out these mods. But the 18 Turbo is requested by the real Emile, because of course he was. He is the kind of person who does like these out there mods. And basically, what you need to know is that it replaces the Pontiac GTO. You can paint it, and that's about it. And I think that's about as it. You can't really do much of anything else to it. So, anyways, oh, jump cut, jeez. This is actually the second jump cut I've had. This car is certainly something interesting. But anyways, so if you're new to this series, what I do is I take 3 cars per episode from my request list, where there's a lot of cars. And I'd just like to say I apologize if I haven't gotten to your car and you requested it a while ago. There's just so many that I've gotten, and it's so easy for me to lose track of exactly which was requested when, and all that different kind of stuff. So believe me, I'm not ignoring it. It's just keep in mind there's just so many, and because I tend to mostly just get some of my cars by either randomizing or because I feel I could make a theme out of that episode, it's kind of the case. It's not because I don't want to do your car, that's for sure. But anyways, so like I was saying though, if you're new to the series, what I do is I take three different car mods. I give them 3 flying laps around the Petersburg track. Here it's a simple, like, little small circuit, mostly high speed, but it also, you know, has some sharp corners and a bit of jumps to try to destabilize the car. So it's a good testing track basically. Oh, that corner, I'm not at that corner. That angle is just pathetically bad. That was holy crap, moly. So but yeah, I take the cars, I give them 3 flying laps, the fastest lap time which I record onto a leaderboard, or to compare with other car mods and the vanilla cars as well. If you've actually looked at that leaderboard, there's now over 190 cars. Can't believe I've nearly hit 200. And yeah, I might start going easy on the kind of like speed breaker thing, because you can just kind of see how you can kind of tell with this car it's kind of very difficult to find the right corner, because it goes stupid fast, but it also kind of doesn't really grip like other cars, like still the fastest car that Emile requested, that 1000 TC of Barth. That thing had a lot more grip. It was actually, I think it was also even quicker on the top end compared to this thing as well. So yeah, I don't mean to be doing this because, oh hey, I'm going against my own thing. It's because I kind of don't really want the car to be smacking into the wall and kind of potentially losing out on some time. Especially when you consider the fact that this car does not like to stay on all 4 wheels, as I found out in my previous runs here. It does not take much to get this car off of its wheels and flipping. It doesn't like to stick to the ground very well. If you hit a smack a wall at high speed, you're very likely to do a little flip. So I'm really gonna have to try with this final lap to kind of keep things under control, and you can kind of see I'm kind of cutting that a little bit. It's just to try to get a better angle, but in that case that wasn't exactly the case. So and the fact that this car is also so quick, it actually initiates the little jump camera too. We haven't had many cars that have initiated that, but this is one of them. So yeah, if I were to really practice with this car, I could probably get some better lines and everything, but it's so difficult to even get the hang of to begin with that it's not really worth all the trouble. But so yeah, and we could have like a little bit of a flying finish, I guess. This car is just very difficult to get the hang of. But yep, so we achieved a 47.44 second lap time, which is fine. I'm sure if you really practice with it, you could bring it down to maybe even sub 46. But yeah, this car is a bit of too much of a handful, anyways. That I think I'm pretty happy with where that is right now. That's still fairly high on the leaderboard. So anyways. But I think the next car should at least bring it back down to full circle. We have a Subaru Impreza WRX STI. Now, this is actually the 2006 Impreza WRX STI, so it's technically based off of... It's technically the same kind of Impreza that's already in the game, but it is a newer one. So you can tell this is the Hawkeye Impreza, as it's called. The one that's in-game initially is what they call the Blobeye, which was the first facelift after what the first one was, which is known as the Bug-Eye. But this is the Hawkeye. I believe there actually is a Bug-Eye mod for this game, but I can't recall where it is, if it's on NFS Cars or if it's elsewhere or anything like that. But I was requested by Darren Specht to do this Hawkeye variant, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And the one thing that's very good about this mod is it's very customization friendly. It's got plenty of options. It's got 5 completely different body kits, including like a bit of a street style body kit and a full-on rally body kit, which I'm going to put on, as you will see. This doesn't actually have spoilers in the spoiler section because it's actually over in the hood section like this. And see, we can actually get a sort of like the rally spoiler, and even like a snorkel and a wheel. We can pretty much, and if we don't like that, then we even have some rally lights, which I'm actually probably gonna go with instead because I do prefer the rally lights. And if you keep going, you can actually get some more street oriented like spoilers if you wanted to choose like that first major body kit. But I kind of prefer to go more something like this. This is pretty much similar to what we saw earlier, but it's now got a roll cage inside. And even more interesting, if you like carbon fiber, it has the carbon fiber option, and it even makes the spoiler carbon fiber too, which is particularly fairly interesting. So yeah, I can kind of just keep going through here and all that kind of stuff. Let's actually put a carbon fiber thing on just because I feel like it. I don't believe the roof scoops work, not that I care, because I don't particularly like roof scoops at all, if you've heard from my earlier videos. You can, of course, paint it, and you can put some vinyls on it, which is great. It's always nice to have some vinyl car mods that can support vinyl options. I'll go with that one, because I guess that's, fairly close to what we can get to the... So the Impreza, that works too. That looks I guess close enough. And you could do all the regular other kind of stuff as well. But yeah, if you definitely kind of wanted a bit more of a rally focused Impreza mod, this might be what you want. It's a shame that the only thing that the modder didn't do was put like put it in like the unique vinyls or like the body vinyls where you could have like a full-fledged like rally, like Subaru WRC vinyl or anything like that, or the Subaru World Rally Team, I think was what it was called. Because that would be very nice. That would be really nice to see. But alas, as you can see, this is certainly a lot more back down to earth after that Renault. It's nowhere near overly fast, and it's a lot more controllable. There is one problem though. It's not overly. I may say it's not overly fast, but it's also not that fast either. At least compared to the standard cars in the game, this car only seems to have a top end of 188, which is not particularly very high. If that is, you're just comparing it, of course, to the already existing cars in the game. Now, you may be thinking, but 188 is still pretty high, and in most cases, yes, and yes, that is true. But if you're comparing it with the existing cars in the game that don't require any modding whatsoever, it's not exactly particularly very fast compared to those things. So it makes it slow in comparison, which is disappointing because I really do like all this sorts of generation Impreza, and really over the last little while I've really come to appreciate all 3 of the different facelifted ones. I used to kind of not really care for the Hawkeye that much, but honestly, there are certain things I do tend to like about it. The one thing I like is the taillights. I think the taillights on the Hawkeye were the best. I like them the most out of all the different variants. Like, I think what a really cool Impreza would be is if you had like the bug eye front and the Hawkeye taillights. I used to say blob eye was really my favorite too, and I still really do care for the blob eye, but I don't know, that bug eye is starting to grow on me. It's weird how this is all working out essentially. But, you know, nevertheless. But yeah, so at least the car is still decently handling enough. It's decently controllable enough with, you know, grippy handling. So at least it could still do a sub 1 minute lap. But its short top end and is really I think what hurts this car. It definitely could inherit from, you know, being at least a little bit goddamn quicker. And all that kind of stuff. But yeah, nevertheless, it is what it is, I guess. It's at least the fact that it's really customizable helps make up for that in a way. I just wish this thing had at least a little more grunt to it. Make it like, you know, give it some slightly better acceleration, sharpen up the handling just a little bit, just a tad bit more. You don't have to go, you don't have to change it too much, just a little bit, and, you know, and move the top end to maybe something like 230, and you'll essentially have a fairly good car. But again, it's just, you know, the lack of top end is what kills this car, and the fact that it still even takes a little bit to get to that 188 mile an hour top end. It surprises me that the modder, because this actually does replace the already existing Impreza WRX STI in game. You'd think that the modder would just make it, you know, at least in terms of acceleration and speed, make it like the Impreza it replaces. But no, the person who modded this wanted to have give it its own performance, and I think maybe undermined it just a little bit too much. But well, 58.41, it's an alright lap time. I can definitely live with that, at least in terms of the fact that the car has a low top end. Anyways, the final car on offer is a bit big. It's the Cadillac 16. Yeah, someone actually did request a Cadillac 16, and yes, someone actually did mod a Cadillac 16. What might disappoint you, though, is that they modded it a bit early on, which means that this mod is about nearly 10 years old. So more than anything, this is probably likely just going to be a body swap car, not really much of a performance thing. I also noticed that I think the modder might have not realized that the wheels are very shiny. It's like the tires are painted like the same kind of finish as the body of the car. This replaces the only existing Cadillac in game, of course, the CTS, and I believe this was requested by the 13th Racer. So there's a little bit of that for you. And you can just see how big it is on screen. The 16 in real life is a particularly huge car, so, you know, it gets that fairly accurate. But when you look at it compared to the other two cars, you know, the Renault and the Impreza, this thing is just a massive. It's massive. It almost looks like a giant tank. Now, of course, for those of you who, of course, may not remember, the Cadillac 16 got its name from the fact that it is this car boasts a W16 engine underneath it. And honestly, I think Cadillac was for a while fairly serious about actually making this car and getting it made into an actual thing. At least from what I've heard, but alas, it of course never happened. Probably because it's just too big. Probably would have likely been too poor on fuel. I wouldn't be very surprised, and it's just, you know, it probably would have been pretty expensive. And my phone is going off like excuse me, hang on. There we go. And my phone is going off like crazy. I just had to pause for a second because my mic was moving away. So one problem I have with this V Moda, it's still one of the best quality boom mics I've ever used, and a lot of people tend to seem to agree with that. And I do like that compared to the mod mic, it's just a simple cable because of the kind of setup that it is, although granted you need headphones that are properly compatible with the connector really to get the most out of it. But the one thing that does annoy me is that the mic boom piece itself can easily be moved away from your mouth way too goddamn easily. I don't know if it's just because I got like the this Nokia adapter, because I use a pair. I have been for like since like December 2014 been using a pair of Sennheisers that use a 2.5 millimeter cable to connect a cord into it, and the V Moda uses a 3.5 millimeter cord. So I had to open it up, take out a little lock piece, and then get and then remove a extra chrome piece as well, and then then I was able to put the little adapter, and then I could put the V Moda and get it all working and everything like that. But yeah, so I've been using these Sennheisers that I've been using have honestly in a lot of ways served as the longest lasting headphones I've had in years. I've usually tend to burn through headphones like in some cases as short as on average around 6 months to a year. These have now been going for about, not too far off of 2.5 years. They still work amazingly well. The padding's all kind of torn off a bit. This little stitching that keeps the foam in has come on part, so I have to kind of reshape it. So I really should replace that, but it does still work, and it's why I keep using them. I probably will at some point though get me a new pair of headphones as well. I know exactly what pair I'm buying too. It's these pair of Philips headphones that have been massively praised to death. I believe they're called the SHP 9500s or something like that. They are like everyone has been saying that like for the money they are essentially in a league of their own. Like $90 or something. They're like $80-$90 or something, and they sound. Well, some people say they even sound better than what I'm using, and I paid about $150 for these HD 558s, which is crazy to think especially when you consider that because of our poorer dollar, Sennheiser does have to adjust the price so they can still make a profit off these pair. And yep, I know, Nitrous, I'm sorry, but you gotta understand my little situation here. I must say, particularly though, this car is not particularly very special. In fact, if anything, I think it actually is a little bit slower than that CTS it replaces, which is, fairly disappointing. But yeah. 1 minute .08. But yeah, I might as well just take the 1 minute .10 in that case. But yeah, this thing is very disappointing because it mostly, I think the case of is it just uses the CTS's performance. And then with such a bigger car, it kind of makes it a bit more slower due to such things, but well. So we definitely had a case of fastest first, slowest last. And over on to the leaderboard now, and of course, without question, the fastest car of the day. In 13th place, I've had a lot of particularly very fast cars as of late, is the Renault 18 Turbo with a time of 47.44 seconds. That's actually, which means that this actually means that Emile has both 11th, 12th, and 13th. He actually has, I just want to make it, just show it. He has the 13th fastest, 12th fastest, 11th fastest, 9th fastest, and 4th fastest cars on up here. He has had so many that particularly get this fast. He seems to have a thing about choosing really fast cars. Perhaps not intentionally, but who knows. But anyways, this time it just edges out the M3 DTM, what we saw not too long ago. It also beats the likes of the McLaren F1LM, Lotus T125, and Audi R8 TDI. Just a tad bit back on the Proton Wyra, Enzo MIG U1 by Gambala, and of course the Sonic Speedstar. We do have to go quite a bit down, however, to find our next car in 134th place, the 2006 Subaru Impreza WRX STI with its time of a 58.41 second lap time. It does beat out the likes of the Lexus IS300, Plymouth Hemi Cuda, Dacia Grandero, and Camaro ZL1 Elite, and Hennessy Venom Viper, and 3000 GT, yada yada yada. It is just a little bit back, however, on another Subaru, the BRZ, as well as the Lotus Europa S, Porsche 911 Turbo S, and the Global Rallycross Ford Fiesta Ken Block, and the Gallardo LP560-4. And finally, all the way down into 165th place is the Cadillac 16 with its 1 minute 0.10 second time. It does edge out the Nissan Note, the Nissan GTR GT500 Race, and the Dodge Monaco, and Pontiac Trans Am, and 355 F1 Berlinese, okay, yada yada yada. But it is just a little bit back on the BMW Z8, Vauxhall Monaro VXR, and Pontiac GTO, and Toyota Chaser Tour V, Aston Martin DB9 Ultimate, yeah. You can kind of tell where my mind is right now, essentially. But that's going to, of course, do it for today's episode, guys. As always, if you want to request a car, leave it down below in the comments with a link. Make sure to link the car mod, please. I really do want links because it helps out a lot. And because I've had, I've had a few people request cars that don't actually have a mod to begin with. So just make sure that you have a link for it. So please remember. Anyways, and if you want to check out the leaderboard, you can click the link that'll be in the description, as well as the link for all the car mods shown in today's videos if you want to try any of them out. Of course, you can also check the description if you want to see links for my Twitter, my Twitch, my Patreon if you want to donate, and my forum boards if you want to join and talk there and do all sorts of little stuff. I'd love to get that going sometime soon. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, take care.